Megan Fox has the story.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. Megan Fox, a national journalist.
Mastodon Drive. I will never be able to say that out loud.
It feels like the Flintstones live there.
It does.
Well, don't trust women. I think you just touched on that with your last. That's what they brought. We're going to have to bring back chaperones.
Oh, Lord Jesus. No.
Just careful. Stop! Right. Ooh. Hard right.
How did you screw up a stove, Megan? You're a woman. I thought that was baked into you, like at the genetic level, how to operate kitchen equipment.
And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I've been very nice to you.
You get Dino hanging out outside chewing on a large bug. I highly recommend being targeted by the New York Times and Rolling Stone for weight loss. And I'd say, keep it coming. I need to lose 20 more. Please, keep it coming.
Explain to me, Megan, why did this country not have a holiday once a year? That's the time you vote. If you don't show up and vote, up your ass. You don't get another chance. You don't get, I don't care if you're in the hospital. Crawl to the state, crawl there. But that's it, 1 day, 12 hours, and then you're done. And you count them that day, and that night you know who the hell was.
I will eat you alive. You want to tangle? You want to go?
The only thing going through my head is, what are you going to do when Megan Fox runs wild on you, brother?
He made a deal with the devil. She's the devil.
He wants that.
Oh, God.
Gross! Oh! All right, penalty box for slug. Yep.
Of a mile.
Are you ready to behave yourself now, slug?
This frustrating rep.
Are you ready to behave yourself? Repossessed puppies? I'm hiding Pork Chop! ASAP! Have you seen his little Pork Chop? Oh my god, Pork Chop is the cutest.
That sounds bad.
Have you seen it?
Pork. It's pork.
Though you may be tempted, do not contact any person or persons mentioned on this stream. Do not even think about contacting anyone who may be the topic of the daily news. If you should do that, the host will question your IQ, possibly call you names, and mock you for disobeying these basic rules of decency.
All the best.
All the best. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, or wherever the heck you are. Welcome back to the show. It's me, Megan Fox. I'm your favorite medium smart journalist, and I have a great show for you today. As you know, we're taking a break from the Hernandez trial because Jennifer Williams is on vacation, a very much needed vacation. Her family hasn't been on one since she started getting involved in all of these cases in Georgia where babies were taken from their parents wrongfully on false allegations of child abuse. And so we want to honor her and wait for her to finish Dr. Stephen Messner and the craziness going on in the Hernandez case. But while we are waiting for her to get back, I do have a good idea. I had a great idea. I want to go over some of these other cases in Georgia that You Are the Power is working on, as well as Jeb Kicker. Now, Jeb is a filmmaker who has been working with You Are the Power to get these cases on video. Without his help, without his amazing, camera skills, we wouldn't have the inside information. We wouldn't even have these trials. So I'm excited about that. So I'm going to bring my guest to the show. Today we have House of Flux joining us and Jeb Kicker. Jeb, there's a chat on your face. I will fix that in just a minute. I'm going to figure out how to get rid of that. I'm not actually sure how, but I'll figure it out. I'll put it on my face while I figure it out.
Oh, I was going to say you could switch us.
I'll figure it out. It's the Rumble studio. We're live on Rumble. We are live on YouTube, and we will get this figured out. I swear. Here, what if I just make it smaller? There we go. We'll make it smaller. Put it over there. You guys complain on Rumble that there's no live chat replay. So I thought, well, if I put the chat on the screen, then maybe on the replay, you can still see the chat. So anyway, Jeb, thanks for being here, by the way. You joined us on one of the days we were watching the Hernandez trial, but you've done a lot more than just film the Hernandez trial. You started filmmaking and making these mini films for these families that were caught in these terrible situations in Georgia. Why don't you tell, and not just Georgia either, why don't you tell people how you got started in this?
Yeah, so I had an unfortunate personal experience with the child protective system. A close member of my family went through a case in 2023, and it wasn't a medical misdiagnosis case like all of these are, but it was a false accusation, and it took us about a year to get on the other side of that. And so I just got kind of a front row seat to juvenile court and how you don't have any rights in the juvenile court, and the Fourth Amendment need not apply. And so once we were on the other side of that, I kind of dove into the history of the juvenile court, try to figure out, we're taught in school, from the time we can read, that here are the rights you have as an American. Here's what we thought was so important, that we have this whole separate document, the Bill of Rights, to enumerate these rights. And so many of them don't apply. How did this happen? And so that led me to, I saw a press conference that You Are the Power put on with attorney Kevin Goff and some other families down in South Georgia in May of 24, it would have been. So reached out to You Are the Power to try to get involved, and then made my way to Georgia for the first time in July of 2024, and started filming with 5 families that You Are the Power was supporting at that time.
And one of those families, I had not looked at their story and until I was getting ready for this. It was the Whiting Clark family. And this story, if you could just give us a synopsis of it. There is a part of you made a mini documentary that was 12 minutes long, and I want to play a portion of it, but I'd like a synopsis of it first so that the chat understands what happened with this family and their baby.
Yeah, so a lot of these stories, they kind of rhyme. Many of the similar details, similar injuries. So Shelby and Damani White Clark are down in Camden County, which is just north of Jacksonville. And their daughter, Anaria, they wake up one morning, she's doing tummy time with her daughter, and she notices, her arm looks weird. She's kind of holding her arm weird. Fast forward, x-rays reveal a fracture in her arm, and then more x-rays reveal, actually, I don't know if they ever did decide on how many rib fractures it was, because it started out as like 7, and then it was 10, and then it was 12, and I think 20 got thrown out at some point, and they're all in various stages of healing. And so, that, and theirs was interesting in the fact that, Anaria was removed quickly, as they almost always are. They were investigated by the St. Mary's Police Department, and St. Mary's Police Department said, we don't see any evidence of abuse here, so we're going to close our case. And so the criminal side was closed out pretty quick. Shelby's in the Navy, and so NCIS did their investigation and initially cleared Shelby as well. Now, DFACS was seeking TPR from the very beginning, like within weeks. And TPR, termination of parental rights, by statute, they're not even really allowed to talk about that for 15 months. Yes.
Right. That's unbelievable. Termination of parental rights is akin to the death penalty. I mean, that is what the Supreme Court has said. It's outrageous that that's the first move they go for.
I mean,
go ahead.
Should be a criminal, like, if you're going to get your rights terminated, I feel like that needs to be kind of like the criminal court level.
Yeah. And, that's another one of these issues with juvenile court is so many times you get the Spider-Man meme effect where you have identical people looking at each other being like, well, it's your job to really investigate it. Well, police go, well, it's your job to really investigate it, and doctors, and so it's still not entirely clear. The TPR hearing failed. They were not able to get TPR, but in the middle, and I think maybe in this interview, Shelby was actually pregnant with her second child, and so she tried to check, hey, DFACS, when I have this baby, are you just going to take it? And they were like, no, I don't think that's going to be an issue. That's what ended up happening, and so they were finally, after about a year, I believe, able to get their daughters with a relative in the Atlanta area, and I can't remember, sorry, exactly when they were reunited, but and it's not entirely clear the sequence of events that led this, but it seems that someone at DFACS pressed the issue again, and that led to a new NCIS investigation being opened, multi-day hearings, and that she was acquitted of that as well. So now they are whole again, together
Thank
again,
God.
and I believe
Thank
actually
God,
that
because I didn't like the way this ended. I was like, what is happening? How is this not over? It seems like at the end it's just open-ended. So I'm really glad to hear that they've been reunited, because at the end of this video, they had adopted out the children. Isn't that?
They were seeking to. And that's kind of, with all these vignettes, the initial goal, and what I told each family, the first time I spoke with them, was that I wanted to do these vignettes to sort of help raise awareness and money for them while they were going through. It was an ongoing case, and my goal was to keep filming until all of their kids were home, and I'm grateful that I've been able to fulfill that.
Are you going to do an update on this one anytime soon, so that there's a closure to it that's happier than the one that I see on this one?
Soon, in relative terms, yes. What I would like to end up doing once I'm through the first round for each family is then go back and do a feature film that includes all of their stories, and importantly, I want to go back and tell the history of the juvenile court, and really, because I think at the end of the day, there's all of these different issues we can talk about all day long, about the doctors and the court system and the judges and all of that. But at the end of the day, I think what this comes down to is that the juvenile court is plainly unconstitutional. It should not exist in its current form. And if it didn't,
Right.
if you
Child
had Fourth
abuse is a
Amendment due
crime.
process protections, a lot of this wouldn't happen.
Exactly. Due process is completely ignored in juvenile court, where if you are, I've told the Tims this, and the Hernandez case too, you were lucky you got charged criminally, because they could have taken your babies without ever doing that on a much lower standard, much lower burden of proof. You actually are in a better position getting charged criminally, because they have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, instead of the lower standard that they use in the juvenile court, which is basically if the judge thinks so. And it's just, it's
Right.
more likely than not is the standard in juvenile court, which is absolutely unconstitutional when they're accusing you of crimes. And they are accusing them of crimes in juvenile court. They're accusing them of child abuse and neglect. Those are crimes. Those are documented on the record, on the statute crimes, but they're somehow getting around charging them criminally. And yet they face a criminal allegations, and they face the criminal consequences too. So that's not okay. All right, I want to show a portion of this, of the White and Clark family. This is one of Jeb's videos that he made.
Camden County has the lowest, if not one of the lowest, reunification rates in the state of Georgia. It hovers around 10 to 11%. So when the state seizes one of your children, the family court judge here in Camden County sides with DFACS 90% of the time. The national average for a reunification rate is around 55 to 57%. The reunification rate in Georgia hovers around 33 to 35%. And we need to be asking these government officials, Why in Camden County the reunification rate is so low?
Despite their statutory mission, DFACS frustrates placement of children with family members, obstructs visitation and reunification, lies to children about what is happening with their parents, manipulates children against their parents, and when necessary, they outright lie to the parents and courts about what the children actually want.
Their explanation to me with my aunt being in Jacksonville was it would be more paperwork for them. Mind you, that is their job.
By the way, when they saw their baby after being in foster care, the baby was sick with a cold, horrible, congestion, just not taken care of, hair not combed, bad for 3 months. The baby had a cold for 3 months. Every time they went to do their visitation, the baby was sick. And they call that taken care of. They call that better care than what was that. Instead of putting the child with an auntie or an uncle or a grandparents, they put them with strangers who neglect them. I mean, this story makes me so mad. And as you can see here, they absolutely could have put this baby with the aunt, but they didn't want to do the paperwork. I also wonder, Jeb, if they didn't want to do it because it then moves out of their county, and so do the funds.
That's been the $64 million question, right? You Are the Power has tried diligently to sort of track the financials here, and where it gets difficult, it's much more difficult with the relationships between the hospitals and the state. It's actually easier to track the financials when it's just in that county, because they have to publish their budgets, and it's a lot harder to sort of manipulate things. But it's been documented that the funds that are allocated, they're being used for office furniture. They're being used for miscellaneous expenses in the office. It's well documented that not all of that money is even going to care or just overhead. I mean, there's blatant corruption at the county level.
Well,
all over
we
the state.
Expect that, yeah. At this point, we expect blatant corruption with any government organization. You have to build the corruption in, right? You build in a certain amount of loss that you're going to have with corruption, but it seems like some organizations are worse than others. Some government organizations are worse than others, and I really got excited when DOJ was looking at different government organizations, and I was really looking forward to DOJ getting into the Health and Human Services, and they never got there. And that's really unfortunate, because you get to Health and Human Services, you're going to find all kinds of craziness. And I'm disappointed that did not happen. And hopefully, it can still happen at some point. But I don't know. It feels like the powers that be don't want to know what's going on. I don't think they want to know how bad the corruption is and what's actually happening to these babies. And speaking of what's happening to these babies, this is about to get a lot worse.
Our original investigation case manager was arrested.
An employee of the Camden County Division of Family and Children's Services, DFACS, was arrested for aggravated sodomy. Tonight, Donnell Hill is out on bond, his arrest coming last month. According to a St. Mary's police report, Hill was meeting with a mother who told police he propositioned her for oral sex right after she says he reassured her she didn't have to worry about losing her kids.
Yeah, used to always how tasty our daughter's fingers was, like just weird stuff. Like
just to hear another man coming in telling me that he likes put his fingers in her mouth, he likes touching her, he knows what she likes to eat and stuff like that, what she likes to do, and it was just gut wrenching and whatnot.
What? This is
So this was the worst one. But in fact, I believe so. Working with 5 families that I've been filming with, 4 of them have had contact with a caseworker that was either arrested for some form of misconduct or fired by the department for misconduct during their cases. So this is the norm rather than the exception.
This is crazy. This is bring your pitchforks down and your torches kind of crazy, because this is not acceptable in any way. And how your caseworker can be arrested for something like that and they don't immediately give you your kid back. What kind of danger was this child in that was worse than the danger they put her in by giving her to a person like that? I just don't know why they can't be sued for this. I don't know why they can't be sued into the ground for this. And I think
I'm
they
telling
could be
you.
under 1983 if some enterprising lawyer would figure out a way to sue them for violations of civil rights on behalf of the child.
All immunity of all forms needs to go away across the board.
I know, it's bad.
Immunity and pardons, I don't think those should exist. Why do we have laws if you have immunity and pardons?
Well, I understand pardons for political witch hunts because there are a lot of those, where people or pardons for death row, and when we've seen a lot of mistakes. But I understand that. But I don't understand why we have to give immunity to government workers. It just gives them a license to do horrible things and to get away with horrible things because they know they'll never pay for it. I mean, do you know, Jeb, when the family found out that their caseworker had been arrested, I'm assuming they complained to someone to say, this person is dangerous. Why would you do that? Was there anything done?
I don't believe so. And I think because the dynamic that these parents often find themselves in is, yes, we know this is horrible. We're upset about it. We want to, take action on this, but there is always the implicit threat that if you make too much noise about this, we will make your life much more difficult and you might never see your kids again. That was a dynamic I observed personally in our family's case, was that, we have all these things we can bring up, but since the kids were still in our custody, there was always the implicit threat that you better shut up, or this whole arrangement we have where your kids are still in your house could go away tomorrow. It's rarely explicit, although at times it is. But I think because after you've gone through a few months of this, you realize that you are absolutely at the mercy of these people. And it completely affects your behavior.
Tell me about the threat. Like if you make too much noise, like you said, you make too much noise and you're going to be, you're going to pay. How have you seen this play out for some families?
I'm trying to think of a specific example. I mean, in our case,
well, I could think of one in the Hernandez case, because it sure seemed like after Matt came on my program, he was indicted the next day or the day after.
Well, and that was very similar with the Tims as well. They sat for 2 years without indictment. They went public on February 19th, and they were indicted March 5th. So there's clear retaliation in a lot of these cases. So specific instance, we were having we had a caseworker come visit, and he needed to speak to the kids alone. And my mom was like, I'm really not comfortable with that. I really don't think that's okay. And he was like, I've got this document that says that's what I'm supposed to do. And I guess if I need to go back and tell someone that I can't do that, then, maybe this arrangement changes. And I think a lot of times we assume, and it's easy to assume that these are just bad actors, that these caseworkers are just, evil people or whatever. And I think in most cases, we have a docket, we have 30 cases that I'm supposed to work with, and I need to go see 30 kids every month, and I'm drowning in paperwork, and there's all this kind of stuff. And so if you go, hey, I need you to do something actually extra, because I think that's what is in the best interest of the child, or because I think that's what's right or moral or ethical, it's like, hey, come on, I'm just trying to do my job and bust through all these cases because that's what I'm supposed to do, and you're making it harder on me. So maybe I need to make it harder on you. So you stop doing that.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I'll tell you, I just these people really upset me. And this one really was unbelievable.
She always remembered us through every stage of her growing up. Through her start taking her first steps. We missed so many firsts. My wife missed her first Mother's Day, first Father's Day, Christmas. Everything was taken away from us. Everything. We missed everything. Everything.
We now drive 5 hours there to see her, to spend 4 to 5 hours with her, and then we drive 5 hours back home that same day and then go to work the next day.
Why 5 hours away?
That was the closest. I believe she was in north of Atlanta. So Camden County is all the way down in the south of the state, just north of Jacksonville. Atlanta is about 4 or 5 hours away. That was the closest relative they could get because the department was still refusing to send her across the state line 20 minutes away in Jacksonville.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
And we do that every week.
The first visit that we had, she had mucus in her nose, in her eyes. Her hair wasn't done. The smell of secondhand smoke, cigarettes, is really strong. Why does she smell like this? Why does she look like this?
Our daughter literally had a cold from April 2023 until June 2024.
She had rashes. Just the swab of the wipe was so sensitive, she started crying.
She used to have bags on her eyes, like she used to just sit there and cry all night.
You guys decided to take her child from us. And this is the best that you can do. This is the best that I guess the Department of Georgia has to offer. This is the best you guys can do.
Okay, the good news is though, like you said, they're reunited now with their babies, both of them, because she was pregnant, right? Thank God, because this story made me so upset. Do you know what happened what was the catalyst that got them back together with their children?
It was just working the process. It was once TPR failed, and I believe it was pretty quick after that there's no criminal investigation pending. TPR just failed, and so I think at that point the juvenile judge
So they had a
just kind of
TPR hearing. They had a TPR hearing, and in that hearing,
Correct.
The judge decided they could not terminate parental rights.
That's
I wonder what did it. Oh, who was do you know who their lawyer was?
I don't remember if Doris worked on that one or not.
Oh, she might have.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, thank God they weren't able to terminate parental rights. There were some TPR hearings that were recorded that I have watched before, and I was shocked at how little evidence was required and how little the judge listened. It wouldn't even allow parents to speak on their own behalf and just terminated the rights. Like it to me, that's the kind of thing that should never be behind closed doors. Those hearings ought to be public, just for the so that we can see what happened. And if it's a violation of people's rights, it needs to stop. It has to stop. But thank God they were able to get the babies back. Do you know how long what was it like? It was over a year of being away from.
It was over a year. I believe their case, it was actually closer to 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, jeez. Oh my God, I just hate it so
Because
much.
this was July. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It was close to 2 years.
All right, so another one that you worked on was the Sullivan case. And we'll play a little bit of this too. Oops, I just did the wrong thing. What was it that I wanted to do? There we go. Okay. We'll play a little bit of this too.
Console me and says, your daughter has a grade 3 liver laceration, is bleeding internally.
This injury could only be caused by somebody drop kicking a baby across a room
I remember
or
this.
repeatedly punching them in the abdomen.
This is the case where it was that awful child abuse pediatrician in Jacksonville, Barbara Knox, who said the baby had to have been drop kicked. Someone drop kicked a baby, an infant. Is this the second? Is this part 2 video? Is that why it's starting in the middle of the story? It's okay. We don't have to.
No, this is just the cold open. This is a one-parter.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I remember this because we did go over the Sullivan case. I'm so glad you did all of these, Jeb, honestly.
My baby has no marks on her. I said, are you telling me someone punched or kicked my baby? Armed security guard came into the room and took Amelia from me and told me I had to gather my belongings, and that I was being escorted off the premises, and that all 3 of my children had been taken into state custody. As of right now, we've been issued non-reunification. They found dependency, and as of last Tuesday, they filed to terminate our parental rights so they can adopt all 3 of our children out.
It's crazy. Same county, Camden County again.
Corey and I were married at 21. Shortly thereafter, we tried to start having a family. We realized maybe we had a struggle there within the first couple years of marriage, and we started what's called like the infertility process. Ultimately, where our road led us was
Isn't that interesting? Carrie Timms had the same story. So in Carrie Timms's case, they also struggled with fertility, and they did IVF to have Jameson. And it's like these people don't take into consideration, like, this family went through incredible hardship just to have a baby. And your first explanation for the problem that's going on is child abuse? They probably spent 20 to 30 grand just to get pregnant in the first place. That doesn't track with child abuse.
Well, and I'm not sure about Carrie's case, but I know Corey and Diana spent much more than that. I think they were close to $150,000, I believe, because they were several rounds of IVF. They were down to their last one. I'm not sure the technical term for that, but yeah. So that these twins were.
Yeah, I'm probably wildly underestimating what it costs. I'm remembering what it cost years ago, and it's probably way more than that now. But like the idea, though, that these families put all this money and time and energy into getting pregnant just to drop kick the kid you just paid $100 grand for is absurd. Like, it's absurd. And this Barbara Knox, oh my gosh, you guys, if you don't know who Barbara Knox is, she is a child abuse pediatrician who has been sued multiple times in multiple states for these exact same things, for accusing innocent people of abusing their children and putting them through absolute hell. And instead of locking this woman up and bringing charges against her, Flux, that mug is bigger than your head and is cracking me up every time you take a drink. It's so funny.
I didn't realize how big it was, and then look, I when I was on stream, I'm like, wow, this looks huge compared to my face.
No, keep using it. It's hilarious. But instead of locking this woman up instead of like bringing charges and letting the public know, they just let her quietly move from hospital to hospital across state lines. And that's what she
She
did.
was
She was
fired
fired
in Wisconsin.
in
Yep, she was fired in
Alaska.
Wisconsin. Then she went to Alaska. She was fired there. And then, matter of fact, last summer, she resigned from her position in Jacksonville, which was ironic. It was one of those that, you know, take the good with the bad kind of thing. But she was actually fired for creating a hostile work environment, not for anything medical.
Wow.
But I don't know if she's gotten another job yet, actually.
No,
I assume she might
does.
show up
She
next
has
to
had
show
another
up.
job. She has had another job. She now works at a Native American reservation, if you can believe that.
That's right. Yep.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, which is absurd. Which is absolutely absurd. Oh, now look at what it's doing. Look at this stupid studio. I swear to God, I'm gonna have words. Words will be had with Rumble. No, the truth is I'm enjoying Rumble Studio. Those of you watching on Rumble, thanks for being here. Those of you on YouTube, if you want to head over to Rumble and check it out, I will and get used to it over there, because, you know, I will be doing more and more things on Rumble. Hopefully at some point, I may do Rumble exclusives as well, because Rumble's been really good to me. As much as I bitch about the studio and me just learning new things, it's really more about that. It's more about me learning new things and not pushing the wrong buttons. Okay, and you know that's very hard for me. So I did drop the Rumble link in the chat. If any of you on YouTube would like to watch on Rumble, you are welcome to do so. Rumble has been very good to me. In fact, I have another meeting with them tomorrow, and we're going to talk about sponsorships, which is fun. And speaking of sponsorships, what did you get today, Flux?
Well, today I got my keto brains in the mail, and I got the wrong one, so I'm happy about it.
She got the wrong one, but instead of getting the small sample size, they sent her the full-size month supply of keto brains. So you never know what you're going to get when you use my promo code. It could be something really exciting. Promo code MUGS15.
At first I was like, wow, is this like because you use the code, they're like doing like a sweep, like, or a giveaway where they're upsizing your order? Because I was not expecting that. It was a hefty size box.
Yeah, it's for a month. It's a month supply, the big bag. So she got the big bag.
Yeah, I got 2 of
you're
the
drinking it right
size.
now.
I am.
And how is it?
Really
How's the
good.
taste? Yep. Do you take coffee? Do you take sugar in your coffee?
A little bit. This doesn't need it. I put a little bit in here, and I'm like, wow, I don't even need. You don't need the sugar.
I think it's the coconut milk. I think it's the coconut milk, because coconut is a little sweet, and so there is no actual sweetener in it, but it is. It's delicious. I've been like stocking my mailbox all day because my shipment is supposed to be here today, and I'm out of it, and I don't like my coffee without it anymore. If you're wondering what the heck we're talking about Keto Brains nootropics. They are so good for you. They're good for your brain. They help with brain fog, with focus, with feeling calm. They calm you down, not amp you up, even though it gives you energy and it makes you feel good. You don't have jitters or anything like that. It's just a creamer that you put in your coffee, and it is, or your tea. You can put it in tea. I did talk to somebody recently who was experimenting with it in cold stuff and said it does not dissolve in cold very well. And I tried it also. That's true. So if you want it in an iced coffee, dissolve in hot coffee first, then add your ice in your cream. Mm-hmm.
It's really, it's, super easy because I drink cold coffee a lot. All you have to do is get like just a tiny amount of water, put it in the microwave, and then put whatever in,
Right. Yeah, you could just a tiny little bit of hot water. It'll dissolve instantly in hot liquid. So, and then you can transfer that to whatever you wanted. Like if you were making lemonade, just like up some hot water, mix it in, and then put that in your lemonade. It'll be completely and totally fine. It's really good though, and I love it. So I can't wait to get more. All right, let's go back over here to the Sullivans, because man, this poor woman.
To IVF about 14 years later. We were blessed. The first transfer through our first round of IVF with Arabella. And that was just amazing. She was perfectly healthy.
The twins was a little different of a story. In between Arabella and the twins, we had several failed attempts to make us a bigger family. And finally, we were down to our last 2 embryos. Sure enough, we were blessed with twins. It was just such a wonderful day. But her health problems during that pregnancy started
Second trimester.
Yeah. She started having blood pressure problems.
I had a problem gaining weight.
Like, even upon our first couple of ultrasounds, you could see that baby girl Amelia's embryonic sac was like this big, and baby boy's was like that big. She was like 3 pounds 2 ounces or something, like 2 weeks before she was born, and then when she was born, she was 3 pounds 3 ounces.
The babies are supposed to grow a pound a week. In your 3rd trimester, and I was still losing weight. They kind of just put them around the curtain, showed them to me, and rushed them off to NICU. They wanted her to show an active interest in eating, and she wasn't coordinating like the suck-breathe combination.
Well, I noticed that every time I went up there to give her a feeding, that she took the whole bottle. I just went up at the hospital and I stayed there for like 24 hours for those days and fed her, and she got to come home.
She hadn't even hit the 5-pound marker when they discharged her.
So they gave discharge instructions to our pediatrician.
She was just pretty hyper-focused that she would gain weight, even though she was still in the 1 percentile. She was barely making it onto the growth chart. About 3 a.m. when my husband was changing Amelia's diaper and noticed that her right thigh was swollen. They took an x-ray, one single x-ray of her,
Again,
and said that she had a broken right femur. And we were obviously in shock.
Yeah.
But wait,
And they told us that she needed to go down to...
Wasn't she in the hospital?
She was in NICU for 12 weeks.
Okay, so she's in NICU for 12 weeks. She goes home. She's home for how long?
Let's see.
Couldn't have been that long. When
I believe it was about a couple of months that she was home.
So of course, they're abusing her. Sure, they drop kicked the baby. Look how cute. Look how tiny. I mean, and this is a baby
it was right at 6 weeks because she was discharged August 11th, and then that ER visit was October 2nd.
Okay. Well, first of all, this is a baby with documented medical issues already. Documented. No question.
6 weeks premature, intrauterine growth restriction. And I would say, I mean, like I said, a lot of these rhyme. I think Amelia's case of metabolic bone disease, they had the most evidence for with Amelia. There was very little question that this was metabolic in nature. In fact, on top of course, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, inherited from Diana, likely. We obviously don't know yet, but she's a very fragile child from the beginning and all the way through.
I'm so lucky. And I hate even saying this, but I'm so lucky that my child was not diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos until she was a teenager. I'm so damn lucky. It's almost like, because I don't think that I don't question that I would probably have had the same issues if I'm lucky that when she had a dislocation when she was 3 or 4, her elbow, that we didn't get charged with child abuse, because we admitted immediately that my husband was swinging her around, because he was swinging around the kids in the leaves, toss them in a pile of leaves and swinging them by their arms. And my middle daughter, her elbow came dislocated. It was horrifying. We were so upset about it, but nobody ever bothered to be like, well, maybe you should get her checked out for a connective tissue disorder. Maybe we didn't know. We had no idea. The ER told us this is very common. It's called nursemaid's elbow. It can happen when you're just holding hands and you just pull on your baby's hand too hard, and the elbow can just pop right out like they're and of course now I know that that wasn't true. She actually has a connective tissue disorder, so that would have explained why she had a hard time, and even it kept coming out. So like he put it back in and then it would pop right back out. It happened twice right in front of him, and he went, that's weird. And like, but then that was it. It was like, well, just keep it immobile for a while and she'll be fine. But I feel like I'm so lucky that there weren't more signs when she was really little, because who would have, if they're going to say you're abusing your baby, what would I have done? I mean, this is so terrifying for these families. Oh God, it's just awful.
Wolfson's Children's Hospital, we took her right down.
And Wolfson's.
When trauma happens,
This
like
is where
that,
the
you're
devil
just
is,
racking your brain
or
for the last 24 to 48 hours. Like, what incident happened? But then when we kind of moved past that, all we could say was, what's wrong with our baby?
She's never had a bruise or a red mark on her leg or any part of her body.
You're just questioning everything. And I said, does she have a metabolic bone disease? Could she have cancer? They were just coming back to me with, well, what happened? When the CAP, or the child abuse pediatrician, steps in, that's when the line of questioning gets more aggressive.
Sorry, that's my button for child abuse pediatricians. Whenever they get mentioned.
I was wondering if I put some strange
We were
sound
questioned
design in.
separately by Dr. Knox and her team. And then she starts going into that vile description of how it occurred. She was acting like she was holding a baby in one arm and then physically punching it with the other. And I looked at
her
again,
husband's
and I was
face.
like,
He's having such a hard time even staying. He's just like, you can see the rage building inside of him. And I don't blame him, because these people are crazy. Just Barbara Knox is crazy. In fact, while we're watching this, I'm going to pull up an article on Barbara Knox just to show you guys what she looks like. First of all, she is the final boss of Karen's. Wait till you see her picture.
how is that even possible? And I said, can you tell me how old this injury was? Did someone hurt her while she was in NICU? And she's 8 pounds. She can't even hold her head up. Wouldn't she have a neck injury? Wouldn't she have a head injury, or anything? And she promised me that she was going to go to the radiologist and find these answers out for me and get right back to me. And then I never saw her again after that. By that evening, we were removed from the hospital.
They can't say within medical certainty that these injuries are non-accidental trauma. They can say within a mathematical certainty, perhaps. What they're really saying is it's 75% likely that it is.
We love Ryan, by the way. I just found actually a news story that I have not seen yet, with starring Barbara Knox, the final boss of Karen's. Let me see if I can pull this up, because this is when she finally resigned. There she is. I mean, look at her. Is she not everyone's worst nightmare of a Karen? I mean, good Lord. And this is the one who can take your babies from you.
Breaking news, a University of Florida doctor who is board certified in child abuse pediatrics is set to resign in August. We received this statement from UF just before 10 o'clock this evening, saying that Dr. Barbara Knox signed an agreement on June 24th that constitutes a notice of resignation from UF Health effective August 15th. Now, Dr. Knox is a child abuse pediatrician at the center of a story we first reported on last year.
Yeah, a Camden County couple had their 3 young children removed from their custody after taking their baby to Wolfson Children's Hospital for a swollen leg back in 2023. They fought for months to regain custody, telling the court their child had a medical condition and was not abused.
Was there footage of this trial?
I'm not sure how much there is. I believe what you're seeing is most of it.
Was it
I know
like
they were
the
there.
local news? Was it the local news that
Yeah.
got in? Oh, and they
Mhm.
never release their footage. Like, they never release all of it unless they're live streaming it. They just never do. It drives me freaking crazy.
And it's like $1,500 an hour if you want to try and license it.
Yeah. Isn't
Or a
that
minute,
terrible?
sorry.
Isn't that terrible? Well, like, were they the pool camera though? Because if they were the pool camera in the court, you're supposed to be able to get that for nothing.
If you also filed. You would have had to file at the time
File
to be
for
entitled to
access.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Smart, the judge allowed
the
them to-
attorney next to Corey is Kevin Goff. He was in the town hall that we saw in the last one, and then I'm fairly certain that's Doris Good representing Diana.
Be reunited with their children. In January, 9 members of the child protection team sat down with us to speak out against Dr. Knox, saying it was a toxic work environment.
Her
and
own
they were
team?
concerned about her handling of child abuse cases.
Her own child abuse team at the hospital was like, this woman is bullying us. She's making stuff up. She's telling us to write things down that aren't true. Like the whole team was like,
Same
we don't
exact
wanna
thing
work
in
with her.
Alaska.
Yep, same exact
Same
thing.
exact thing in Alaska.
And the reason they fired her in Alaska wasn't for the false allegations. It was for the way she treated her staff. That's the thing that's incredible, is that she's just a horrible person on top of this baby stealing. She also is a terrible boss, and she abuses her staff. I mean, and she's now working with a Native American population. Are you kidding me? Some of the most vulnerable
Which is the
people
worst place she can be.
in the United States. She is now in charge of their families. Oh, hell no. White lady who hates families and children is now in charge of an Indian reservation. No, absolutely
I was
not.
gonna say, not trying to go all racist, but white people don't have a good track record there. And this evil doctor lady, it's gonna be worse.
No, white people do not. And I'm sorry, but I think we can say that. I think we can say that with certainty. Of all the populations in the United States, they're the most vulnerable. It's not okay. It's not okay that they put this woman there. How on earth? I need to find out what reservation this is, and I need to make some phone calls because
it's the Anav tribal, the Quartz Valley Indian community in Fort Jones, California. And Native Americans are already accused of abuse at much disproportionate rates to the rest of the
where
country.
in California? Yes, they are, and separated, by the way. In fact, we've had to enact federal laws to protect Native American children from being taken out of their society, taken out of their community, taken out of their tribes, and raised by white people who don't let them have any connection to their tribe. There are laws against this, but you put a woman like this over there? You gotta be kidding me. Wait, what was it again? You said Quartz Valley? What?
The community is the Quartz Valley Indian community, and it's in Fort Jones, California.
Fort Jones. Oh, my pen stops working every time.
I'll send you this article, Megan.
A pen. It got written up. I love that. There's a private chat in here in the studio. You can drop it right in there. It's the little icon that looks like a chat window with a little lock on it. I'll type in it so you can see it. Sometimes it works for my guests and sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, you can just email it to me. Fort Jones.
Yeah,
I got to send a press.
I just emailed it to you.
Okay. I got to send a press inquiry to that reservation, just like with a bunch of information on, do you know who this woman is? Because, I'm going to email them. You better believe I'm going to email them, folks. Like that. This is a very vulnerable population. There is no way in hell this woman should be there. She should have her license revoked, actually. Her medical license ought to be revoked. She has now been to 4 different places that she's been fired from. So you said Wisconsin and Alaska, but I don't think you mentioned New York. And I'm pretty sure that she also was in New York, I think, before Wisconsin. I think so. I could be wrong, but I know that she moved around a lot. And I want to say this. I did a lot of reading on her. And I don't think she started.
Yeah, I didn't know about New York.
I don't think she started out in Wisconsin. I think there was one place before that, and I could have the wrong state, but I'm pretty sure there was another one before that. Caroline says she's on a reservation. Says most of the doctors in the native clinics up here in Alaska are white, at least from what I've seen. Not too much of a mix here. It's a government-run facility too, and it's not like white people can't do work and serve native populations, but I get real nervous Like doctors, that's one thing. Like if you're going there to serve a population, as in serve them, not accuse them. I'm talking serve them. That's one thing. But if you're going there like this woman with an obvious, she has an obvious bug up her ass about taking babies from families. With the optics of this are so bad. They're so bad for a person like her to be hired by in an Indian reservation with this vulnerable population who has a history of losing their babies to the system. It's not okay. Native populations should be watched over very carefully so that abuses do not happen. And that means that natives need to be the ones watching over that system, not crazy Karen white ladies who have already been accused of doing this to people all over the damn country. I wonder if in Alaska, were those native people she was doing it there too?
I'm not sure. The clinic, Alaska Cares.
Because
Doesn't look like it. There was a federal lawsuit.
Oh yeah.
Two families filed against her.
Unfortunately, some of those lawsuits were dismissed because some of the families, I read some of the lawsuits and I don't think they had proper representation. Some of them were pro se. And as we all know, when you go into a lawsuit pro se, you're going to lose on a technicality, even when you should have won. That's why I tell people, don't ever do it. I know some lawyers are bad. That doesn't mean all lawyers are bad, but you have to have a lawyer going into court. You must have a lawyer. You cannot do it on your own. You will never win. You can't win. It's very, very, very rare for pro se defendants to win, or plaintiffs for that matter, pro se plaintiffs or defendants to win. It's too hard. God, I can't stand the fact that she's there.
You can see that story right now on our website, firstcoastnews.com.
Yeah. Did you ever at the University of Florida? Did you ever read that article, Jeb?
Which one?
The one about the one about Barbara Knox's coworkers in Jacksonville who hate her. I mean, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible how the things that she was. It's not funny. I'm laughing because they made such allegations that are completely believable, but you're like, why would the hospital have put up with this for so long? They also accuse her of being a racist. And again, a racist is now in charge of a native population. What the hell? Look at this. Look at this article. We're going to read a little bit of it because I remember reading it at the time and I was like, look at this woman's face. She has the most punchable face I've ever seen. UF Health Jacksonville pediatrician Dr. Barbara Knox is facing staff accusations of bullying coworkers, violating patient privacy, and making racist remarks. And this isn't the first time. The people in Alaska said the exact same thing. In June of 2022, Jacksonville hired Knox to serve as a physician on the First Coast Child Protection Team, which treats children suspected of facing abuse. Knox's hiring at UF raised eyebrows given her controversy-marred professional history. In both Wisconsin and Alaska, the doctor faced complaints about workplace misconduct and misdiagnosis while serving similar roles related to child abuse. Ultimately, she left both states amid investigations and lawsuits into her conduct. And yet the medical licensing board doesn't see fit to take her medical license away. You're just going to inflict her on another population of people. It's incredible to me. 3 staff members and 1 former staff member at First Coast Child Protection Team who spoke anonymously for fear of retribution shared accounts of Knox's behavior. One employee, a longtime child welfare worker, said issues with Knox began around January of 2024 when the doctor became chief. They made her chief with this kind of background. Chief of UF Health Jackson's Division of Child Protection and Forensic Pediatrics. She was targeting a lot of people that had discussed her previous positions in Wisconsin and Alaska. The welfare worker said she very quickly became highly interested in running them off. Knox asked employees to report on colleagues who the doctor viewed as a threat, instructing them to find any information that could potentially justify termination, according to the source. This behavior became especially threatening when Dr. Mark Hudak, UF Department of Pediatrics chair, visited the CPT office to inform employees that he personally vetted Dr. Knox. And anybody who's speaking about her is subject to termination. Well, he should be fired too, because his vetting sucks. Because she really shouldn't
And
have-
that's one of the mysteries to me is for a department chair like that, or for the hospital, University of Florida hospital system is not a small operation. What is there just such a dearth of board certified child abuse pediatricians in the country, and they need to have one to have a feather in their cap? What is the motivation for a hospital system like that to look at someone with obvious liabilities and say, yeah, no, come on.
There
we'll
has
be your
to
next
be.
one.
There has to be, Jeb, a monetary gain. You and I both know it, and they're just good at hiding it. And so they're not telling us. They're not telling us what it is. They're not telling us why it's such a, they're not telling us why they want these people. But you're right. Not every hospital has them. So there must be an incentive to take these people. There's only like 300 or so child abuse pediatricians in the whole country.
370, I think, and 5 of them are at CHOA.
Yeah, isn't that something? What is CHOA doing? Like, they're just becoming the child abuse capital of the world, I guess. They want to have these people accusing their patients of abusing their kids. It's really gross. It's just
I
gross.
do think that's part of what's going on at CHOA, specifically with, the Blank Foundation and the Stephanie V. Blank Center for Safe and Healthy Children. I believe part of what they're doing is trying to become the preeminent child abuse detectors in the world. And so they place a lot of emphasis on that.
What they're doing is embarrassing themselves. One CPT employee recounted several instances in which Knox used her authority in the office for personal ends, including having employees drive her children places, insisting child abuse cases had to be scheduled around a 5K race, and offering employees promotions in exchange for information about employees who opposed Knox. You don't bring up anything to Dr. Knox you're afraid to get fired, a CPT employee said. You don't say anything to her unless you want to look for another job. Only a few weeks after being employed there, I was summoned to her office privately multiple times with her requesting me to talk negatively and talk poorly about my supervisor, so she had a reason to get them out of the office so she could kind of curate her own management. She would practically back me into a corner. Knox also commented on employees' skin color. The second CPT employee who is mixed race said Knox once asked her, "Why are you getting so dark?"
Wow.
And they put her at she got hired at a Native American reservation. Are you kidding me?
See, the typical question is, why can't I get so dark? I'm the whitest person. It is terrible. That you can't say stuff like
I'm
that
so
word.
white. I'm so white too, and I've
Oh,
got
it's terrible.
the sun is finally just coming out. I can't wait till I get a little color. I swear, the hardships of white girls. I tell you, we're just fish belly white, man. It's tough. And then we go out in the sun and we get burned. It's a whole thing.
Turn orange.
I've always been jealous of my cousin who has more. She must have some kind of Italian in her because she's got that beautiful olive skin. And they're all so brown, and it's just I'm so jealous because they're so pretty and they never look clammy. I feel like I look clammy all the time because of how white I am. Oh man. Dr. Knox forbid. Oh, look at this. I love this one. They described her as lazy. Oh, wait, sorry. No. In her account, Knox also wanted a case built against a Tallahassee receptionist and described her as lazy and someone who looks like one of our clientele, as in ghetto. See, look, according to a black woman, she said a black woman looked ghetto due to having long decorated fingernails.
You
This
can't
woman.
say that.
No.
You can't
No.
say that,
Not to
ma'am.
mention that long decorated fingernails is that's something tons of people do.
I
Okay,
mean,
that is
you can
not something that is just
maybe say that in the privacy of your own home to the privacy of your own spouse, but you don't say that out loud in public.
No.
And this is what she's saying and how she's treating her coworkers. So
Hmm.
imagine how it goes when she's behind the closed exam room door.
This
with
gets worse.
Corey
You want
Van
to hear
Sullivan.
what she does behind the closed exam door? Because this is one of the worst things I've ever read. Chat, I'm telling you now, if you've ever suffered some kind of sexual assault, this might be triggering for you. So please protect yourselves. If you need to mute for a minute, but please do come back. I won't talk about it for longer than about a minute. But this is probably the worst thing I've ever read that a doctor did. The second CPT employee also said Knox's conduct during sexual assault exams was inappropriate. A mother brought her child in for an exam, but said due to her own experience of SA, she could not watch. Instead, she would look away while remaining in the room for emotional support. The CPT employee relayed the request to Knox, who ignored it. Dr. Knox spread the child's legs open in front of the mother, unclothed, and put the child in the mother's lap and started doing the swab. The employee said the mom was just sitting there with tears running down her face. That is assault. Like that. How dare she? See, this is what I don't understand. Why didn't you press charges against this person? This is someone who should be in jail. Forget losing the medical license. Put her in jail. This is cruel and unusual. Thank you for dropping the C word, Ellie, because that's the word that fits here. What? Honestly. Oh, man. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. This just gets worse. When the child of a white doctor arrived to the clinic with gonorrhea, which is highly indicative of sexual abuse, Knox decided not to verify the case and claimed that the child contracted gonorrhea from unwashed hands, the employee said. So when there's actual abuse going on, she covers it up. Whoa. 20.
How does she still have a medical license?
I don't know. The medical board, wherever she is licensed, needs to be picketed. Over 20 former employees claim to have quit over Knox's conduct, according to both current and former employees. One former employee who resigned described Knox's behavior as constant berating. She would scream and yell and tell me what a terrible person I was. Oh my God. UF Public Records revealed employees have also filed complaints to the Florida Office of Inspector General. But see, when this happens and they finally get onto her, she moves to another state where the investigation doesn't follow her. See, now, if I were in charge of whatever investigation this was, I would get the feds involved because this woman has crossed state lines to do these things to people. That should be federal. And why the heck they don't have the DOJ and the FBI up her ass is beyond me. Barbara Knox is a menace. A menace. She is by far the worst. And we've had a lot of bad child abuse pediatricians we've looked at. I'm willing to go as far as to say she's worse than Sally fucking Smith. This is the worst child abuse pediatrician I have ever read about in my entire life. And the Sullivans, oh, God bless. By the way, I was supposed to get in touch with Mrs. Sullivan. She wanted to come on and talk about her case, and I definitely want her to be able to do that. I hope she doesn't think I'm ignoring her. I think I just forgot to email her back. But yeah, there are several of you here. There are 200 of you on YouTube and 50 of you over on Rumble. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button for me and subscribe if you are not subscribed, and check out the Rumble channel. If you are not subscribed to my Rumble, I am going to be doing more Rumble only content and I want you to be a part of it. And so I want you to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Mods, if you could put the Rumble link in the YouTube chat, I would appreciate that. Actually, I'll throw it in there, and that way you can copy it and paste it every once in a while. But I would like you guys to start getting used to Rumble. Rumble has been very good to me, and I want to help them. And because they're better than YouTube. They just are. YouTube sucks, and they're always trying to delete our channels and stuff. And they don't want us saying words like sexual assault, which is a thing that we have to talk about because it's real and it happens. And I don't like that we get censored on YouTube when we're trying to talk about very important things. Like this is probably going to get demonetized because I've used the words. But you know what? So what? Well, this is the thing that happens to people, and we need to be able to talk about it without using code words. God, so this article just goes on and on and on. So let's get back over to, and Jeb, I didn't ask you how much time you have to hang out with us today. So how much time do you have?
We'll just keep going.
Let's keep going. Okay. All right.
But they discredit that other 25%. And that's where our families fall into. They're in that 25%. And the child abuse pediatrician, once they contact DFACS, that's it. The investigation is over and done with. I have not seen, and I've read case file after case file after case file, where DFACS followed up on that 25% chance that mom or dad did not abuse their son or their daughter. They're simply relying on the mathematical probability that a child abuse pediatrician says is a fact. It's not a fact. It's the opinion of one doctor.
They got like 4 or 5 doctors to get on the stand and say the same thing that the other doctors said.
We have a total of 6 experts and doctors that are all in agreement that it was not abuse, that
even normal handling,
that normal handling would have caused her to be injured.
All of their medical experts admittedly had not reviewed her NICU records or even her pregnancy complication records.
What?
And they all said, no, we just read the report that the ER doctor wrote. And then they read the discharge paperwork for Amelia, which was like 1 page or 2 pages of about 1,000 pages of medical records of her being in NICU.
Come to find out, a lot of her injuries were healed then. So that means that they possibly happened in utero or in NICU.
Obviously, a baby who's been drop kicked isn't going to have multiple.
Wait, are you telling me that there's a possibility that a nurse did this in the NICU?
I'm telling
It's certainly
you.
possible. The timeline hasn't. The timeline can't be ruled out. I think, given what we've seen in the Tim's case and the Hernandez case, I think it's more likely than not that those are the rib fractures were birth related. And this is something, that I kind of wanted to talk about because I have struggled for a while. Well, I struggled for a little bit with the fact that in almost all these cases, when it comes down to it, we can't really point to one thing and say, oh, well, this genetic abnormality caused this, which led to this, and that's how these injuries happen. And I think that ambiguity is the reason that these cases are so hard and they go on for so long, because the ambiguity is the point, right? When these physicians are looking at a couple of data points and making a hard and clear diagnosis that leads to, all the rest of these things that we've seen, they're not really doing any differential diagnoses. They're not saying, well, it's suggestive of this, but also it could be this. We need to be studying this. It's just, we are super confident that this was absolutely 100% child abuse. Whereas that's not how medicine works. That's not how science works. It's an iterative process. As soon as you say something is capital T true, that means stop asking questions about it. We've already decided what it is. And so I think that ambiguity in the story is super important because that's how life works. It's ambiguous. It's not always, you can't always just point to one thing and say, well, that's, that led to this and this is the domino effect. It doesn't work like that.
Right. And it's these are really complicated cases. Right. And, what concerns me about the NICU possibility, though, of a baby being, especially, and it could have happened not intentionally, right? Because if you're talking about underlying disorders like we saw in Emma Hernandez and the other babies, just regular handling can fracture bones. So in the NICU, if you're talking about a particularly fragile baby, just changing a diaper, just pulling a leg in the wrong way can do this to a baby. So I watched a nurse hurt my own newborn baby, and because of what she did, he blew a hole in his own lung crying too hard. No, I think she did it intentionally, and I got her fired, but she hurt him twice right after birth, and she cut him with a measuring tape, and she squeezed what really did it wasn't the measuring tape. It was when he first came out and they put him on my chest, she took this rough looking towel and she was pushing on his back and scrunching that towel and twisting it. And I could see from my perspective, his little skin, that really fragile little skin they have was getting twisted in that towel. And he went like this. He went, and then he started to scream really loud. And then he couldn't breathe anymore. And they were taking him to the NICU, and he had been crying just fine and like breathing just fine. And then all of a sudden he was going into distress. And what the NICU doctor told me, the surgeon who came in to look at him to see if they needed to do anything, what he told me, they didn't. A hole in the lung, for babies, you just keep them quiet and still and it heals, which is amazing to me. He had a collapsed lung. The surgeon, without knowing what had happened, told on the nurse. He told me he cried too hard. That's all. He's a big, strong boy, and he cried so hard that his little fragile lungs couldn't take the intake of air, and he blew a hole in his own lung. Well, I know why he cried too hard, because I watched the nurse do it. And there are nurses in hospitals who work with babies who should not have any contact with the human race whatsoever. And unfortunately, if you come across one of these, and if that happens to you, they'll do everything they can to cover it up. That doctor made a big mistake telling me that, because I had it on the record then. And luckily, I was able to get that nurse fired because he told me what really happened. If he had known what had happened in the delivery room, he probably would have made something up, but he didn't because he wasn't there. But yeah, I think it's absolutely possible that it could have happened in the NICU situation, especially with a fragile baby. I got a super tip here. And I forgot to mention that Super Tips is open and available if you want to send a super tip to the show. Thanks, Anonymous.
Is there a promo code for your locals? I was hoping to call in for your stream later and prove that I am not Jay Hip. Thanks for what you do, except insulting one of your supporters like me.
Yes, there is a promo code for locals, by the way, meganfox.locals.com. You can get over there and you can sign up for a free month right now using promo code GANG, all one word. Gang gets you a free month on Locals, and we would love to have you over there. There is a live chat going over there right now. Jameson is in there. And I'm going to be trying out that call-in the call-in tonight. I might actually do it today, actually. Do you guys have any, I could try it out now if you guys had any questions for Jeb. That might be kind of fun. I think I will. I'll make it possible. And I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll copy the link. Now I'll put the link in the chat. We can take a couple of phone calls in case you guys have any questions for Jeb. That might be actually kind of fun, and test out this calling thing and how it works in Rumble. They have a new thing that they're doing where you can basically click this link and you can call into the show, and you can type, what you do is you type your name in and what you want to talk about. And we will take the call, and you can talk to Jeb, and he's supposed to be able to hear you. We're all supposed to be able to hear you and talk to you. So if you want to help me try this out, we would like to do that, because that would be fun. So anyway, God, Jeb, how do you continue? Are you working on any current cases now?
Current in the sense that I'm still working on them, but not active cases. So I am trying to finish the what's going to end up being about a 90 minute film on the Timms family this summer, and then I'll be working on a short film for the Alexanders. Tyler and Terilyn Alexander were convicted a couple years
Ugh.
back, and they were both.
Oh,
Tearlin was
no.
released in September. So
How much
working on
time?
that one. They both ended up doing, I think, 19 months, which was incredible. I think the judge really took pity on them. They were 19 and 20 years old when they were convicted. And, you know, they were both facing, I think, 80 years, 4 counts of family violence in the first degree.
Wow.
So, but they're, you know, they're back home. The Tracy Lester, Tearlin's mother, was able to adopt both boys during that process due to the heroic help of another attorney, Allison Crane. So they are. Tearlin does have probation restrictions. She is not allowed to be unsupervised with a minor under the age of 18 for the next 7 or 8 years, I believe. But she is able to see her boys, you know, with family supervision, pretty much unrestricted. So, yeah, so working on that one. And then after that, I will transition to working on the feature film, which will be a lot more. I need a lot of legal scholars, attorneys, former judges, current judges, just lots of people with fancy titles in their name to kind of bolster the case, and scholars to help explain the history of, you know, going all the way back to Jane Addams and the instantiation of the juvenile court in 1899.
Interesting. We do have a caller for you, Sticky Widget. Sticky, make sure you turn off your replay so that we don't hear an echo. Sticky Widget, what's up? Can we hear you? We can't hear you. Are you there? Well, the question is, what kind of resistance did you encounter when bringing a camera into the courtroom? Did you have any problems?
Actually, very little. The process in Georgia is pretty straightforward. You just file a form called a Rule 22 application. In Gordon County, in the Timms case, that was approved very quickly by Judge Smith. And actually, there wasn't any resistance either in Forsyth County. That was approved pretty quick by Judge Dickinson as well. There was a funny moment in the Timms trial right before Verena Brown testified, where before they brought the jury in, Judge Smith says, "All right, now I've been getting some complaints from outside counsel about there being cameras in the courtroom. And here's what I'm going to say. Mr. Kicker has complied with every rule. He has filed the application on time. He's done everything right, everything I've asked him to do. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's bring our next witness in."
Well, that's the way it should be.
That was really the only pushback I got. Now, in the Alexander case, Rebecca Lindstrom from 11 Alive News was in the courtroom for much of that trial. That was before I got involved. And they actually did have to bring an attorney from their news organization to fight it because the child abuse pediatricians didn't want to be on camera. So they had to have a hearing, and it was pretty straightforward First Amendment grounds. This is open court.
Good.
And they ended up, winning on that point.
Where is that footage? I don't think I've seen that one.
So some of it has been packaged into stories that Rebecca did. She wasn't there for the entire trial. She was mostly there for the state's case, for the defense, just from, this was a passion project for her. It wasn't really on her normal beat. So she was, lucky to be able to do it. Now, I asked about getting that footage, but since it's a big news organization owned by Tegna or Gray, I can't remember which one. Well, they gave me a special nonprofit rate of $1,500 a minute. So,
a minute?
Yeah. TV licensing is
a minute.
Hasn't quite gotten around to the internet age.
Why on earth don't they just go ahead and post it then? If they want to make the money on it, why don't they post it? Why are they holding it hostage?
Big corporation. I don't know.
See, this is the problem with media. How can you call yourself public media when you don't release your footage that the public wants to see? And then you try to charge somebody $1,500 a minute. If you were going to say $1,500, I'd be like, we'll raise that today. Let's get it today. Well, fine. $1,500 done. Let's do it. But I mean, I'd be willing to pay probably even up to $5,000. But how on earth do they justify $1,500 a minute? That just means they don't want it out there, to me.
I will say, in full defense of Rebecca Lindstrom, she's the finest reporter I've ever met. And she
I'm sure it's not her decision.
If she could give it to me, she definitely would. She works for a massive conglomerate.
And they won't let her put it together and do something for them?
She did stories with it. And those aired. And she did a few web stories with it. I mean, she did a lot with the footage.
But they don't want the full
thing
out. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was kind of the first journalist with a major platform that worked at a major, network news organization.
I think I saw some of her
covering
stuff.
this.
I think I saw some of her stuff, and it is, when you find a good local reporter, it's such a relief because they have with them, a certain amount of gravitas that, independents don't have. Sticky is attempting it again. Sticky, let's see if we can hear you this time. Sticky, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
Awesome. Okay, it's working.
I think it was my Bluetooth headphones were getting in the way.
Maybe. Well, we can hear you great now. So what's up?
Great. So I wanted to ask Jeb, especially since we've been following the Hernandez case and watching that bailiff give stink eye to him the whole time. What kind of resistance did you have you gotten trying to bring cameras into the court?
Yeah, like I was just saying, very little. The vibe in Forsyth County was certainly a lot different than in Gordon County. In Georgia, the process is straightforward. You just file an application, and 9 times out of 10, the judge will just kind of rubber stamp that. And you have certain rules you have to follow. No shooting the jury. You can only record when the judge is on the bench. So if you see abrupt cuts when the judge gets up, that's why. In Gordon County, it was funny because much smaller facility. You still go through the metal detectors and stuff, but by about day 3, the 2 older deputies that were manning that desk just kind of started waving me through and saying good morning, and very just nice, cordial, small town kind of stuff. Forsyth County it's TSA style security. There's a dozen deputies up there working through the security thing, and there's one deputy I remember who was always nice and smiled, said good morning and everything, because I always try to in that tense kind of situation, you just want to go, hey, how's it going, man? Like, we're both still humans, even though you're the one with the gun. But yeah, very, very, the deputy you're talking to, in all of my notes when I'm marking footage, it's just Sharky, shark eyes. So,
yeah.
He seems to glare at the camera. He seems to glare directly at the camera multiple times.
I've got a lot of great close-ups where I just kind of pan over and I'm like, I wonder if he's looking. Yep, he's looking at it. Perfect.
He's looking
right down the barrel. Thanks for that.
Oh man, Sticky, thanks for helping us out with this caller thing. It seems to be working well.
Yeah, I'm just using my iPad speaker and microphone now. So I don't know whether.
How's the sound on your end? Can you hear Jeb well?
Oh yeah. It sounds great. It's not as clear as the native rumble, but it's not too bad.
Well, you sound really good on my end. It sounds really clear. So I will report this back to them that this is seems to be working. Thanks for calling in, Sticky. And by the way, Sticky, thanks for all your support of the show all these years, because you've been around a long time.
I'm like a bad penny, really. I just or as some would say, it's like wiping your ass with a hula hoop.
That sounds hard. I don't know.
The shit just keeps coming around.
Well, we enjoy you. So
I'm
please
looking forward
never
to getting I'm looking forward to getting my keto brains. As I've said, I think I'll be even funnier.
I think
once I
you'll be
get
even
those.
funnier too. You're going to get sharper. You're
So
going to get
once
wittier.
I'm going to be able to get the brain fog off. So anyway, good to hear your voices.
Yeah,
And,
you too. And I want you to call me back when you get the keto brains. I want to know how it works for you.
yeah, see if I'm like spaced out all the time, or like, dude, I'm really mellow. So
Right.
yeah.
I want real results. I want real experience.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know.
Okay. All right.
It might
take
push me
care.
over the edge into psychotic. I don't know. Who knows?
I doubt it. I doubt
Well,
it.
I'm right on that cusp, I think.
Okay, well, you let me know how it goes. If we need
I
to
will do.
5150 you, we will.
Okay.
All
Pretty.
right. See ya.
Okay. We'll see you.
That was fun. It worked. So if
worked
you
pretty
guys,
well.
if anybody else wants to call in, the link is pinned at the top of the chat. I think I pinned it on Rumble too. I did. Super Tips also is open. supertip.gg/Megan Fox. I forgot to pin that to the top of the YouTube chat, but I will do that. I want to get back over to this video because what happened to these people is
Multiple
insane.
stages of healing in her bones.
She essentially has a metabolic bone disease, but it's from a number of factors. Intrauterine growth restriction. Her umbilical cord was so much smaller than what it should have been, which provided the nutrients that she needed. She wasn't able to move at all in the third trimester, which provides all your fetal bone loading.
Hey, wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Jeb, in the other case, she had the same thing. The first family we were talking about, the baby had
Shelby,
intrauterine growth restriction, and they had to take the baby early because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like I said, so many of the details in these stories just kind of rhyme.
Are they doing any studies about these things, like to find out like what is causing, what is happening with this? And you know what they should be doing is putting these doctors on notice at the ERs to check the birth records, because if the babies have had any of these things like intrauterine growth restrictions, low vitamin D deficiencies, that you have to be careful making allegations of child abuse, because they can have these unexplained fractures and injuries. That's what should be happening.
And that was purportedly, I don't know if you remember there's a memo that DFACS in Georgia sent out February of last year, requiring physicians, when they make a diagnosis of non-accidental trauma, to sign an attestation form that says that they reviewed all medical records. Now,
but they won't sign it.
They won't sign it. And I actually agree with them because it was lazily worded. It's worded as, I'm signing that I have reviewed all medical records related to this child. There's just no way to know and we can maybe get
That's
into
too general.
at some point.
That's too
electronic
general.
medical, right? If you're on a cruise and you stop in Cozumel and the kid has a broken leg, that's probably not going to make it into Epic,
right?
The electronic medical record system.
So they need to have made it more directed to, I have reviewed all birth related records, right? Or something like that. Or all records that I have access to.
And that's what, when we got the first testimony during the Timms trial, because Catherine Bernard was able to bring this up, and we got the responses from Dr. Brown and Dr. Messner, I clipped that, and You're the Power ended up sending that to Commissioner Broach with that suggested revision, and nothing happened. And now we know that memo is not being followed.
Well, yeah, it's not being followed because their lawyers told them not to sign it. And like you said, if it wasn't so general, maybe they would. Is there is there a plan to change the wording by any chance?
Not that I have been able to, not that we've heard of. I will say we did find, and I'm not sure which case this was, but Ryan mentioned that CHOA has implemented something similar to that attestation form, where they are signing a physician's attestation that they have reviewed as to the records that they have reviewed. So they'll list the records they reviewed and then sign that
that's good.
attestation to say I've reviewed it, which is better than nothing.
That's better than nothing. Yeah.
But I still don't think, because the response we often get when, under cross-examination, did you review, like, I think it was actually a particular example in the Hernandez trial. Well, did you review Taki's OBGYN records? And the response is, I can't remember which physician this was, but the response was, well, those are mom's records, so I wouldn't have access to those. But you could just say, hey, Taki, do you mind if I see these records? And she would go, yeah, please. Yeah, I'll sign it right now. It's not a HIPAA violation. Just ask me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this, at least though, it's good that sounds like CHOA's maybe trying to do something about it by, making them sign something versus nothing. But I
think
know.
it's in direct response to the trials.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. You sent me. Okay, I got the link that you sent me. Oh my God. Oh my God. Look at this. Look at this. This is unfreaking real. Child abuse pediatrician at the center of controversies in 3 states resurfaces at California tribal clinic. I'm sorry this looks bad on the screen. I'm trying to get as close as I can. A pediatrician whose child abuse assessments have triggered controversy in 3 states has quietly become the sole medical provider and medical director at Tribal Health Clinic in rural Northern California. Oh my God. Dr. Barbara Knox, whose child abuse work in Wisconsin, Alaska, and Florida has drawn significant scrutiny, now leads Anav Tribal Health Clinic. Her hiring has not been publicly announced, and she is not listed on the clinic's website. Unbelievable. A transition of care letter obtained this week by the Family Justice Resource Center from concerned parents identifies Knox as the clinic's pediatrician and medical director beginning September 30th of 2025, following the departure of its only nurse practitioner. The same letter introduced another physician, Dr. Syed Mustafa, as a permanent provider, but sources say he has already left, leaving Knox as the only clinician on staff. He probably left because he's not white and she probably offended the fuck out of him. I mean, that's just my theory, but I'm sticking to it because Barbara Knox is a reported racist. California Medical Board records show that Knox received her state medical license November 12, 2025. Why on earth are these boards giving her a medical license with her background? This is outrageous. I'm writing the California Medical Board. I'm doing it.
That's like history or like former employments or like stuff like that at all?
This is disgusting. It's disgusting.
Well, and so the initial article by, I think, First Coast News that reported all of the allegations from her, coworkers of the hostile work environment, that was January. They waited 6 months to force this woman to resign.
Yeah, they did.
After that article came out.
In the meantime, when it first came out, they finally responded to the article. And I remember whoever it was that responded basically dismissed their complaints. It was basically saying that we did all our due diligence and everything is fine. There's nothing to see. And then that created a huge outcry. And then finally she resigned. They didn't even have the nerve to fire her. Oh, God. This is so upset. The patient letter highlights her medical training and more than 23 years of experience, but omits her employment history from 2009 to 2025, years that were marked by investigations, disputed diagnosis, staff departures, and allegations of retaliatory behavior. So she didn't even tell her new employer or the medical board. So that's fraud. She committed.
How, like, okay, if I were to go get a job, they ask you to put employment history so they can call and verify
Yeah,
you
but she
weren't a
didn't do
shit
it.
employee.
She didn't do it. She left all of that out so that they couldn't find it. But I don't know
Can you
why
just
they didn't
do
Well,
just
that?
I
Google
think
her.
this is that. I think this might be saying that the letter that clinic sent to their patients, just left that out because they have every reason to leave that out. And they go, "Hey, we got this great new doctor. Don't Google her.
Let's see.
Just
Did they
make an
publish
appointment."
they published the letter. Let's see. It's published. Let's see if I can remove that and then share something else. Here we go. All right. Move that over there. Add this to screen. So this is the tribal healthcare letter that they sent out. Dear patients, we're writing to inform you of an upcoming change in your healthcare provider. Blah, blah, blah. Dr. Barbara Knox will be assuming responsibility for you and your children's care. Then they go over Mustafa's background and they go over Barbara's, who specializes in pediatrics. She did her training at Wisconsin School of Medicine. She completed her residency at Mayo in Minnesota and training at Cincinnati
Doesn't
Children's
mention her
Hospital.
background in child abuse at all,
Oh, yeah, it doesn't. She provides well child
which is one of
exams,
her board certifications.
nutrition counseling, ADHD, and other behavioral exams. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, I wonder though if she told the California Medical Board though about her background. Because how could they give her a license with all the information? You know, how? I don't
Well, it's
understand.
interesting. I've at this point researched, I think, half a dozen, maybe 8 or 10 child abuse pediatricians. I've never found one with a website. Dr. Knox has like a website with her, nice words about her
Odd.
stuff. Like, it's like a CV, like I would have. That's a first. But, when your employment, I guess, is so tentative everywhere you go, that's probably a good idea to have.
Jameson sent $1.99, says you can have Jeb contact me and look in locals. So Jameson says I tried to log in to call, but it didn't work for me. When I hit the link, it creates a download for Rumble Studio, but not able to get in. Huh. That's weird. Jameson, would you take a screenshot of that for me, what you see, and put it in the locals chat so I can share that with Rumble? I'm wondering if you have to do it through the Rumble app. I'm not sure. Jameson also says medical boards do not talk to each other, and legal opinions don't get reviewed by medical boards because it's not a true medical opinion. Well, that's terrible.
I mean, that seems counterproductive.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Aisel wants to know, did I get Hangry's baseball pants clean? No. 3 times. 3 soaks, 3 washes, all the different detergents that everyone told me to use, and they're still not clean. I'm sorry, but Big Soap is lying to us. It's a giant conspiracy. Nothing gets baseball stains out of baseball pants. And why baseball pants are white is beyond me. Like I give up. I'm 50 years old and I cannot make the soaps work the way they're intended to work, I guess. I posted before and after pictures on Twitter and it's truly ridiculous how bad it is. A 16-year pattern across 3 states. Unbelievable. According to reporting by Wisconsin Watch, Anchorage Daily News, and First Coast News, Knox's career has been marked by a reoccurring set of concerns, all of which we have read. And yet, look at her face. I mean,
she
look at those evil eyebrows. It's like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, she could just walk around on Halloween just like
Without
that
a
and be terrified.
costume. Yeah, and scare the
Mhm.
living shit out of kids. Yes, absolutely. So here's all the stuff she did in Wisconsin. Oh, good Lord. I mean, this is terrible that they just let this person move on to another, just to another. What happened? I hit the wrong button again. We let this person move on to another, vulnerable population, and that's not okay. It's just not. It's not okay. I can't believe that that is happening. Oh, man. Jeb, I've kept you here, for almost 2 hours, so I apologize that we've been doing this for this long, but I did want
It's
people
all right.
to know your work. When you are finished with your new project, right, with the project that you've been working on to put them all together, where will you be debuting that?
Big open question. It'll really depend on how the process with this Tim's piece goes, because the plan for that is to send that on the film festival circuit and try and get some awards or publicity that way, and then kind of parlay that into grant funding to do the full feature film.
Hey, well, when
Where
that's
it goes from
happening,
there.
let me
Yeah.
know, because I will interview you for, an article we'll put on PJ Media. Don't hang up, those of you waiting on hold, I see you, don't hang up. LMP, we'll get to you in just 1 second. Let me know when that's happening, because I'll do a feature for you and you can get some press anyway. I said,
Appreciate
don't
that.
hang up, and then they hung up. Look, I say don't do these things, and then they do. I was just about to answer the
You can't
call,
tell
dang it.
them not to do things. You have to tell them to do things. Don't you remember the square bullet points, Megan?
Call back. I'll put you back on. All right. I need to tell Rumble that they need to give me like a beep sound in my ear or something when there's a caller on hold, because if I'm not on that page, I can't see them. So needs alarm for calls. All right. But yeah, the feature. So you're looking to go to like a film festival or something. That's a good idea. But let me know when that happens, and I'll make sure that we get you some press on that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This is actually my first interview that I've done, so I appreciate it.
Oh, you're kidding. Do you have a website where people can find your work?
I do. My production company, PropX Productions. So propxproductions.com. That's most of my work is not nearly this exciting. It's mostly small to medium sized business, content marketing type stuff in Houston, Austin, Dallas, and then here in Bryan. But this will be. I have made some other films before. My first one was about a concert tour I was on, and then I actually did a film for the Texas A&M Medical School, which was turned out to be pretty good training for this project. So
Awesome. LMP 69. I dropped your link in the chat, guys. The link is in the chat for his website. LMP 69. Welcome to the show. How are you? Oh no, I can't hear you. We're having a technical difficulty. Do you have Bluetooth turned on or in? Because that was the problem with Sticky, we think. We can't hear you.
Talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking to you. LMP, there you are.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to watch the chat and mute you so that I didn't do the echo thingy. I'm sorry. Sorry
That's
about that.
okay. It's working now. You sound great. What's up? How can we help
thank
you?
Oh, well, I was just wondering, I'm sitting here listening to this, and I think, like, through television and through fiction, people have this idea in their head that at every hospital somewhere there's a Dr. House who's going down
Yeah.
every avenue to find out what's wrong with his child. And we all know that that's not true, but I wonder what part fiction plays into people's perceptions of how this goes. And Jeb, I think it's wonderful what you're doing to help shed the truth, to tell the truth about this is how this goes. So I just wanted to toss that out there and something to think about.
yeah, no, I and thank you for that. I think that plays a huge part because similar to the way that law enforcement is often viewed through CBS colored glasses, because we're just inundated with procedurals, and this is how the justice system works, and this is how hospitals work. I think COVID actually did a lot to sort of claw back that narrative, because we all witnessed doctors saying things that were obviously not true for about
And
3
doing
years
TikTok
straight,
dances instead of whatever it is they were supposed to be doing.
and telling you that a piece of cloth will protect you from a respiratory illness. So I
Stand on
think
this sticker.
COVID did. Yeah, COVID did a lot, because you still walk around places and you're like, oh, that's a remnant from the time we all went absolutely insane. And,
Mhm.
the people who are supposed to be watching out for our health and advising us on our health were just straight up lying to us, and not even pretending, that this was scientifically based for,
I think my
a period of
favorite was
years.
when Anthony Fauci told people that they could still go to orgies during COVID when we couldn't go to Thanksgiving dinner. But, if you're in a big city and you need to go get your freak on, that's okay. You can still hook up with strangers on Tinder. That was when I was pretty much done. Like, okay.
I think it hit me when I realized, hey, I can still smell through this surgical mask. This is a
Uh-huh.
respiratory infection, and if you can smell through it, it's not stopping what they tell you it's going to stop.
Mhm.
It was crazy. I tell people this all the time now. I'm like, look, if you can smell a fart through that thing, it's not stopping a respiratory virus. I don't know what you're doing, but you do you.
I liked the people who wore the masks in their cars when they were by themselves. That was my favorite. That was
Oh,
my
yeah.
That's
favorite.
always fun.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right, LMP. They everyone wants to believe there's a house at every hospital and a doctor house, and there just isn't. And we're noticing that. We're noticing it more and more, and you get lucky when you find a specialist or someone who really digs into your case and really cares and wants to know what's wrong. And that's a problem that families are facing. Hey, thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it. The sound on our end is great. We hear you so clear. I'm going to tell Rumble.
Oh yeah.
It's very clear on my end as well. And I just so people know, I was trying to do it through my phone and it didn't work. I had to switch over to my laptop where I could open a new tab and sign in that way, just as a
Oh,
heads up. So
interesting. Okay, because that Sticky did it on his iPad, so that makes sense. So maybe it's the mobile issue. Maybe it's a mobile thing. I'll write that down and find out, can it be done on mobile, or is this something you need to do on a different device? Thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate you.
bye-bye.
Bye. Wow, that's fun. I like the call in. The call in is fun. It works really well when we get it to work. So if you guys are trying to call in, try doing it from a different device than your phone. Sounds like that might be the issue. Rush says the crocheted masks. Yeah, I remember those. Those were funny. Oh my God. Volstorm, what do you mean you saw people 6 months ago wearing them in the car? Are people still doing that?
I still today see people driving with masks in their car today, like not literally.
Well,
today,
now the hantavirus or whatever is the new thing to scare everyone. So, get ready. Get ready for it because that's coming next. All right, let's see. We got this is Jeb's website, the propxproductions.com. Let's get back over to the Sullivans and see if we can finish this up.
But what it comes down to is she has a metabolic bone disease on top of she could possibly have inherited Ehlers-Danlos syndrome from me.
Oh God, and so much comes with EDS.
Mind
So
you,
much.
Barbara Knox, in her own report, her own final report, wrote this baby needs to be tested for EDS. Still to this day, the baby, even though it's been court ordered, still has not been tested for EDS.
Oh my.
She was asked by our attorneys and their attorneys, is there any other possible explanation for these babies' injuries? And she, on the stand, said no. It could only have been abuse.
So what that tells me, as someone who's been intimately involved in the criminal legal system in Georgia, is that child abuse pediatricians are now state agents. There's no difference between a law enforcement officer and a child abuse pediatrician. Law enforcement officer can prosecute you, same as a child abuse pediatrician can prosecute. And I've seen it firsthand. They are held to a higher standard than law enforcement. Their testimony is given more weight than if a law enforcement official were to testify. I can guarantee you the work that the team does to vet these cases is far more thorough than anything that DFACS has done and law enforcement has done. And they're trying to put these moms and dads in cages for decades. We've solved the case for law enforcement. We've solved the case for DFACS. They just don't want to hear it.
They did grant me bond, but one of my conditions is that I have no contact with Amelia. So I haven't seen my daughter since early December. So I've missed.
The damage that does to a baby is incalculable. You separate a baby from her parents, and it actually causes brain damage. This has been studied. The neural pathways that connect with parents, you know, your bonding abilities is completely screwed. And those pathways don't reconnect after that. They have done studies that show that babies who are taken away from their parents have attachment disorders because of that, because they cannot bond after that. That is the sickest thing. And so this man might be facing a lifetime of not having proper bonding with his baby because of what these people did. That's why this is so important. That babies not be taken from their families lightly, that babies must be kept with their families at all costs, because there has to be that you're damaging not just the families, but you're damaging the innocent babies. It's disgusting.
And that's one of the more well-supported findings in medical science. There was a study from the 90s that actually studied a cohort of mothers who were addicted to cocaine and whose babies were born addicted to cocaine. And in the group that the child was separated from the mother versus the group where the child remained with the mother, outcomes were like a standard deviation higher for babies that stayed with a cocaine addicted mother versus babies that were put in the foster care system.
Right.
And it wasn't close.
Nope. No, they've done all kinds of studies, and it shows that kids with parents who stay with parents, even if they're alcoholics or drug addicts, do better than children who are taken from them, which is why we need more actual services from these organizations like DCF that are not just removing babies. They always claim they do these in-home services. I've never met one family who got any of that. Never, not once. I also advocate for something that I think would be very helpful in these situations, that if a hospital is going to take custody of a baby because of abuse concerns, there is no reason that the mother cannot stay, at least mom, stay with the baby under the supervision of the hospital. They're supervised 24 hours a day. There's no reason to take a nursing mother away from a baby when you have eyes on them all day long. There's no reason for it. So even if you have concerns that there was abuse going on at home, what kind of abuse is going to go on right under your nose if you're supervising them?
Right.
And that would be less damaging while they do their investigation into what else could have occurred. It would be less damaging than removing the parents completely from a nursing infant, which to me is absolute evil. It's awful. Jay DeCory is on the phone. How you doing? Your nose if you're... Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
How's it going? What's on your mind?
Well, it's I'm lucky I'm here because power's out at my law firm, so I get a half day off to work from home.
Nice. Oh,
Yeah.
Flux just lost her internet. That's where she went. Her internet just went down. She's trying to reconnect. What's on your mind today?
So, Jeb, I'm an attorney, and I got a lot of different stuff for you. But one of the reasons why these doctors get to travel everywhere and do things is because when it comes to testifying before a court, there is no legal standard that the doctors are held to because they're not practicing medicine. They're in essence practicing law. This is what I deal with every single day. I've had doctors testify that a fall from a 4-story building can't cause an injured disc. And judges will believe it. So and whenever you're in an administrative arena, which Child Protective Services and all this stuff normally falls under, you don't have the full constitutional protection that you normally would get in a court because it's administrative. And so you're really, really getting hamstrung because you have the burden of proof to prove you're not guilty, which is why it's so unusual that they took this to a criminal trial. But what these doctors, fake board doctors, do is they confuse the standard. Reasonable medical probability is one standard, and it's normally used, and I see it every day. The amount of doctor's reports that I've read has been probably in the realm of 15 million or more.
Jeez.
This is all I do every single day is review doctor reports. And Megan Fox can talk to you a little bit about the Daubert cases, or the Daubert case in the Supreme Court. Well, whenever you go to these other courts and it's not a district court, Daubert's out the window. They don't require the testimony to be relevant and reliable. They're just like, well, a doctor says this, so it's true. I believe in Texas, they call it ipse dixit, which just means because he said so. So when you're looking
were you the one that commented you're an attorney in Dallas? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely need to talk.
Well, and I'm more open now. I've told Megan my story. I've actually had medical malpractice against me. I had a doctor take away my eyesight. I legally can't drive and was made legally blind because a doctor put me on the wrong prescriptions for a year.
Wow.
I had 22,000 vision in my good eye before the cataract surgery, and I had to have cataract surgery around 40 years old because of what that doctor did to me. That doctor transferred all of his assets into his wife's name, and the lawyers pretty much told me I had no case, and he destroyed my medical records.
Oh,
the doctor is still practicing today, rendering medical opinions in the jails, I think, and also in the work comp system.
Wow.
So whenever you're talking about, and it gets even worse, you're talking about taking away the children. I can tell you that some doctors have made millions of dollars by defrauding the American public. Because whenever someone is injured in work comp and they get these doctors say, well, there's no way that this fall could have caused this injury, so therefore they get cut off of treatment. That person then goes on to Social Security disability, or the taxpayers pick up all their medical care for the rest of life, which transfers the burden from the insurance carrier that was collecting premiums onto the taxpayers, which can lead up to millions of dollars. And they never, ever, ever scrutinize. Now, there was a case that just happened recently in Texas where a doctor was supposedly supervising a med spa. And the result of that was he was over 100 miles away, never really visited that med spa. A patient got, or a person went in there for a IV drip and ended up dead.
I just saw this. I saw something about this. Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to remember. It's one of your other people that you know actually did a pretty good story on it. I'm trying to remember who it was.
I just saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I'll text you, I'll send you who it was that did a good story on it. But the fact is, that doctor is now facing criminal charges But the medical board at this point in time, the only thing they said he can't do is he cannot supervise other people. So you have
But he
one
can,
on trial
but he
for
can
murder.
still practice?
Yes, he can still
Oh,
practice.
God. What a disaster.
He can still practice. He just can't supervise anyone. And he was fired
That's
from his
unreal.
other job because of addiction stuff, alcohol. I'm not getting on him from alcohol. But most people also don't know the Dunch case. The Dunch case is Christopher Dunch, who was operating on people while under cocaine and killed someone.
Oh, wow.
Oh, jeez.
He was finally put in prison for that action. He is actually a very seminal case in Texas because Texas has a cap on what they will pay out for medical malpractice.
Oh my God. He was accused of injuring 33 out of 38 patients in less than 2 years. They nicknamed him Dr. Death for gross neurosurgical malpractice. Unbelievable.
And
How
so
horrible.
it's the Passmore case. It's Baylor Scott Hospital versus Passmore, where Baylor had to settle for a large amount because of this. And that was only because there was a bankruptcy case that allowed them to get above the statutory minimums.
Was that the one where it was a retained surgical instrument, like a 9-inch forceps or something that they left in someone's abdominal cavity?
Oh, he's left a lot of things. I mean,
That's
I've had
awful.
doctors I've known that have been called the zipper because of how many surgeries they've done. So
Unbelievable.
I mean, when you're talking about how effective the medical boards are, it's not just the medical board. Whenever someone is operating and giving a legal opinion for the purposes of a court, it is never reviewed. And I've gotten in trouble for trying to raise the fact that these doctors are just rendering random opinions.
Are you telling me that there's no Daubert hearing? You can't ask for a Daubert hearing?
Not in my field, no. I can't
Really?
ask for a Daubert hearing because it's administrative law and the judges are the finder of facts and law. So it's just, do I believe them? And that is the same.
That's a bad standard.
But again, that's the same even in the hearings with Child Protective Services.
Yeah, that's the same standard. That's true. That's
does
true.
the judge believe? And so there is no remedy because the boards will not, and most people don't have the knowledge as to how to frame the arguments. And here's the thing that will really kick you, okay? These medical boards, I know, and I've done the research on this, the American Board of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, okay? They have it where some of their members have maintenance of certification. Some of them are supposedly grandfathered in, and they don't disclose who is which. None of the doctors like the maintenance of certification program because all of it is a money grift for the boards. How much are these boards getting paid? And I can talk to you about why these reports of these doctors are not scientific. They don't comply with the standard medical practice.
I bet if you, I know that the child abuse pediatricians' reports don't comply with any standard. I mean, for one, child abuse pediatricians, just the idea of it. I was so happy that the judge in the Tim's case didn't allow them to really use that term, like as an expert in like a child abuse pediatrician, because that's not a thing. It's just not a thing. And they were allowed to use it though in the Hernandez case without explaining to the jury that, you know, this is not a diagnosis. You can't diagnose child abuse. And so calling someone a child abuse pediatrician is like giving them more of an expert opinion on child abuse than they deserve.
Well, see, this is a thing that, you know, if I could be a witness, it's bigger than what you even said, is they should not even be allowed to render those opinions. If you look,
Right.
okay, when there's a shooting, what do? They take ballistics to say, did that gun fire that bullet, and did that bullet
Right.
end up causing the injury?
And there's science behind it. Yeah.
It's a pseudoscience, but it's better than the other. The only science that really has been somewhat defined has been DNA, and even that is somewhat gray. But they used to have things like bite mark analysis.
Oh, right. That got thrown out now too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there's a guy by the name of Tom Bevel, who John Grisham wrote one true story, and that was about Tom Bevel case, where this was a guy that was a blood spatter analysis that said, well, because the dishwasher was running and the car was parked in this way, I can conclude that this was a murder. I mean, it is just unbelievable when you look into how much credibility falsely we give to these experts, especially since there's no accountability. I would argue now that doctors are not professionals. Why?
Well,
Because
and
there is
we
no
see,
accountability.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, and we see that from the child abuse pediatricians when they testify. Their conclusions are basically, well, when we have this kind of injury and the parents don't have an explanation for it, we know that 95% of the time that means it's abuse. That's flawed probability, but it's not medicine.
Well, it gets even worse than that, okay? And this is how I've gone through, and I've had to try and use this. And most of the times, the judges don't like me doing this. But there's something called specific causation and general causation. And when you get into things like toxic torts, they say, well, only if certain probabilities meet can you raise an instance of specific causation. In general, when it's the plaintiff, or I guess in this case, the defendant saying you can't meet specific causation, we're held to a different standard. So the Jameson Timms' doctors are held to a different standard when compared to the standards of the states. And that automatically creates a improper dynamic because it's not an equal burden of proof.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jameson, listen, I put you in touch with Jeb. I emailed both of you so you both can discuss further. I appreciate you calling in, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.
I'm in locals, so that's one reason you should join the locals, because sometimes I pop in and I can give
That's true.
legal takes on different things. So if Megan has
That's
a question,
true.
sometimes I'm in locals saying, this is why.
Yep, that's true. Take care, Jameson. It's good to hear from you.
Bye.
Thanks, Jameson.
All right, we got one more call, and then we're going to be done for the day. Rush, thanks for calling in. How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Hey.
Oh, well, I was trying to manage the microphone and everything here on my iPad, but got it working. My sister is an OBGYN. She's one of the top 100 in our state, and she has often said that she has to push back at pediatricians often after dealing with the high-risk pregnancies that she does deal with, and then handing off after the fact, because she finds that they often want to accuse the mothers of abuse in utero almost. You know, it's just, if you see that happen often, because she's like, I don't understand the pushback, because she's a good doctor. Not every doctor is bad, but you know, so it's that juxtaposition between the doctors who actually care and want to take care of those that are highest risk and dealing with those situations, and those that just don't care and just want to find an excuse for something wrong.
I'm glad there are people out there like her pushing back, because somebody has to. Somebody has to. And it's important that we don't automatically just assume that everything is abuse when there's so many complex problems out there that it could be instead. So how was the how was calling in? Was it difficult to do, Rush? Did you figure it out? Did it take you a little bit?
I figured it out. The first couple of times it was like, oh, the studio is no longer accepting any callers, and it bumped me out a couple of times.
That's
But
weird.
then I think it was just me
Because
navigating
I can take up to 4 callers at a
things.
time. So
Ah,
I don't know why it would do that, but okay.
So it wasn't
Interesting.
me hanging up on you. It was whatever. But I'm
Yeah.
kind of used to systems doing things like that
Yeah.
because
Well, it sounds
I
really
work with a
good.
Can I ask
computer
you?
every day.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
was going to ask, has any of that pushback ever put her in any professional peril? There was a pediatrician in Minneapolis who was forced out last year for consistently pushing back against non-accidental trauma diagnoses from the child abuse pediatricians at that hospital, and he's going through a federal lawsuit now. So I just wonder if
Hmm.
that's ever been an issue.
It would be a very plausible correlation because in the past she's had positions of where she was the director of the women's health at a large hospital complex. I don't know if it was because of that specifically, but or if it's just because that there was somebody else that was in the Good Old Boys program that they decided to push ahead of her. But she was not gifted necessarily with the greatest amount of tact, so she was brutally honest a lot of the times when it came to her colleagues. So sometimes I don't know if the pushback in that particular abuse situation caused her to be demoted, so to speak. But I know
Sure.
that she's had some challenges in the past because she would buck the system a little bit. But I always appreciated that with her. Intimidated, yes, and appreciated at the same time.
Sure.
That stinks. Man, it's good that she's still willing to do it though, because people
Well,
need
she's
to.
almost ready to retire. So,
Yeah.
with my folks in their 90s and everything like that, it's coming to the time where we're almost getting ready to be of the age of retiring ourselves. And it's like, wow. I mean, the medical system is fraught with peril. I live in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, and there are challenges everywhere. While we have one of the best cancer groups out there, my husband is dealing with 2.5 years post stage 4 diagnosis and dealing with all of that stuff, and running into systems that just sometimes don't care. The insurance and the
Ugh,
medical
tell
professionals
me
just
about
don't
it.
care, and so
Yeah,
it's
we've
rough.
seen a
But
lot of those cases, and we've seen a lot of patients with a lot of complaints during the Kowalski trial. So many of you out there were like, yeah, this is what we run into, just medical systems that don't care. I hope your husband is on a path to recovery. I'm
well,
sorry to hear that.
it is what it is. We're just maintaining with what we've got, and there's no expiration date stamped on the bottom of his foot. So I think we're doing okay for right now.
Well, it's good to hear from you. Thanks for calling
Yeah,
in. I really appreciate it.
absolutely. Don't forget to check your Venmo later. But yeah,
Oh,
my
okay. I
pleasure.
won't.
Thanks again.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, Jeb, thank you so much for being here this entire time. I know we've been here for a really long time. Those of you in the chat who want to watch the full vignettes that Jeb has made, go to You Are the Power on YouTube, and all of his videos are there. I'm actually going to link them in the description. I forgot to do that when I was setting up, but I'm going to link them in the description so that those of you on the replay can go and actually watch those easily. But if you are looking for and you don't see the link, just go to You Are the Power on YouTube and go to the video section, and you will see that there are a ton of like 12 to 15 minute videos on each family, and most of those are ones that you have done. Is that correct?
Yes, all the vignettes for the Shelby and Damani White and Clark, Corey and Diana Sullivan, and then the 2-parter on Matt and Taki Hernandez. I did want to say, to wrap up the Sullivan case, they ended up Corey had to take a plea deal, but they were all reunited, and everybody was able to go home early last year. So
What kind of
I
plea
actually
deal
saw.
what kind of plea deal did he have to take?
Yeah, I don't remember the details. It was very highly negotiated. He will have, I believe it is a felony charge that is now on his
God, that's
record, but he didn't
maddening.
have to serve any time. Yeah.
Did he have to go on like
Um,
a child abuse registry or something?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, that's good.
I don't believe so. But yeah, I was able to in September after Terrell Alexander was released from prison. We had a get together in Atlanta with a bunch of the families, and got to see Diana there with all of her kids, and Brady and Carrie were there, and Matt and Taki were there, and it was really cool just to see everyone together in a sort of picnic like atmosphere. So.
Well, your work has been amazing. Thank you so much for what you've done for these families, and for continuing to do it. And we will keep a close eye on what you're doing. Please let me know when you need some, press on whatever when your movie is done, because I'm happy to do that. I know my readers at PJ Media will love to read about it. They know these stories very well, because I've written about them there, so they appreciate it when we do follow-up. So please do let me know, and we'll do an interview, and I'll get it out there in print form for you.
Yeah, of course. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the attention that you've been driving to this. I think this is one of the more prescient civil rights issues of our time, and so all the publicity is huge. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, chat. We will see you tonight at 8 p.m. on my channel. I will be with Tug. We will be doing a Rumble exclusive tonight. So we'll do an hour on YouTube and then an hour on Rumble. So get your Rumble accounts ready to go. We have more body cam footage and some crazy stuff going on in the Hales case we're going to talk about. So I will see you at 8 p.m. Everybody, I think I got to everything except there were a couple of gifted memberships over on YouTube. Sticky Widget, thank you so much for those. I appreciate it. And then also, I want to make sure I check the Venmo like I was told to, because there might be something on message over here. And let's see. I have to find. Good Lord, it takes forever to get to Venmo. Why does it do this to me? I swear. So it's not uploading. It's not updating. All right. I will check it later, though. I promise, Rush. I'll check it. There it is. Okay. There's a $50. It says, because YouTube apparently can't handle real life difficult conversations and they are asshole. That's true. That's true. But thank you for the 50. I appreciate that. So today's stream wasn't demonetized. And I appreciate that, chat. As always, you guys take care. Jeb Kicker, thanks so much for being here. And hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Megan.
Mr. Ponton, I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to take
we're
a
trying
look.
to, can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward.